In this video, we're going to cover one final method for vertically combining SAS datasets. When you append or concatenate datasets, the observations from each individual dataset remain grouped together and in the same order in the combined dataset. If you want observations in the combined dataset to mix together based on the values of one or more common variables, you can do this with a process known as interleaving the datasets. For example, let's look at the trial dataset again. But this time, instead of an ID variable, each observation is identified by last name. You want to combine these datasets with the observations in alphabetical order by last name. To do this, you can interleave the datasets based on the variable last. Interleaving datasets requires only a small modification to the same data step you've used to concatenate datasets. But when interleaving datasets, you add a by statement and specify one or more by variables. SAS uses the values of the by variables to arrange the observations in the output dataset. Remember that any variables specified in the by statement must be common to all of your input datasets in order for the data step to run. Also notice the descending option in the by statement. By default, SAS arranges observations in the output dataset by ascending order of the by variables. When a character variable is sorted in ascending order, A is at the top of the dataset and Z is at the bottom of the dataset. When a numeric variable is sorted in ascending order, low numbers are at the top of the dataset and high numbers are at the bottom. If you prefer for SAS to sort your by variable in descending order, you add the descending option. This demonstration shows you how to interleave datasets in SAS.
Once again, you have the same three advisees datasets as before. Each observation includes the student's last name, gender, and which academic program they're in. Let's start with a data step to concatenate these datasets into a new dataset called advisees. Remember that you need to use the rename option in the set statement so that the MHA values appear in the variable program. You can see that the new dataset advisees includes all 7 observations, and that the observations are stacked on top of each other in the same order that they appeared in the datasets you specified in the set statement. But now you want the dataset to be in ascending order by last name. To do that, you could simply run the sort procedure shown here. It starts with the SAS keywords proc sort, then you specify the dataset you want to sort. In the by statement, you specify which variable or variables you want the dataset sorted by, and finally in the procedure with a run statement. Because you want the observations sorted in ascending order, you simply leave off the descending option in the by statement. Let's run the sort procedure and view the list report for advisees again. And now the 3 separate advisees datasets have been interleaved into a single dataset called advisees sorted on last name. However, we could have accomplished the same task in an alternate way. Take a look at this data step. Here you are interleaving the datasets as you create the new dataset advisees 2 by adding a by statement. And this time you want the observations arranged by last name in descending order, so you add the descending option. However, in order for this data step to execute properly, the 3 input datasets must first be sorted by the same by variable, in this case last name. Let's run this program and take a look at the list report. And there is your new dataset sorted by last name in descending order. The choice of which method to use for interleaving datasets is completely up to you. Just remember that if you interleave by adding a by statement to your data step, you must first sort all of the input datasets by the same variable and in the same order as you specify in the by statement.
Here's a chance for you to practice interleaving datasets. As you've seen, appending, concatenating, and interleaving can generate similar results. The main difference is that proc append overwrites the first dataset, whereas the set statement in a data step can create a new output dataset. So, when is it best to use which method? Well, as always, to some extent it's just a matter of preference. But here are some rules of thumb from SAS that are intended to help you choose. If you're concerned about speed, proc append is faster because it doesn't process any of the observations in the base equals dataset. However, with the small datasets we use in this course, this speed difference will likely be unnoticeable to you. If you want to combine a large number of datasets, remember that you're limited to 2 input datasets per proc append step. When you use the set statement, you can concatenate or interleave any number of input datasets in a single data step. Finally, if you're combining datasets that contain different variables, proc append is more limited than using the set statement in a data step. Remember that proc append uses all variables in the base equals dataset. If the base equals dataset has variables that don't appear in the data equals dataset, proc append assigns missing values to those variables, and proc append drops any variables that are only found in the data equals dataset. However, the set statement uses all variables in all input datasets. Now you've learned 3 different methods for combining datasets together vertically. When you feel comfortable with this material, please move on to the next video on combining datasets horizontally.